Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Sid and Lola's podcast.
We are ready for episode 9.
Amazing.
One away from double digits.
Yeah.
Today's episode, we are talking about intolerances versus allergies.
Yeah, so we hear this quite a lot, people saying that my dog's got an allergy to this and an allergy to that, possibly an allergy to chicken, or it's an allergy to grass, or but there is a real difference between an allergy and an intolerance or a sensitivity. So somebody or a dog that has got an allergy to something, that will involve the immune system, and you get a massive response from whatever it is you've consumed or whatever it is you've gone near or touched. So a really good example is like a peanut allergy in a human. So if somebody eats a peanut and they are allergic to it, their immune system will react, and it can be very severe, and their throat can close up, and their
everything just swells up.
Everything swells, and you come out in hives, and you get this anaphylactic reaction to the peanut, and which can kill you. So that's a very, very serious, it involves the immune system. An intolerance, so something like a milk intolerance, that will be to do with the digestive system being irritated by what they've consumed. So usually the lactose in the milk, your digestive system struggles to digest it, and it manifests in different things, like sometimes gas, sometimes diarrhea, sometimes irritation of the gut. So that's the main two differences between allergies and intolerances. And intolerances we see quite a lot in dogs. And one of the main ones is chicken intolerance.
See, I learned from you, is that like a bit of, not an old wives' tale, but when your dog has a bad stomach, you instantly go for chicken and rice?
It's a bit of a veterinary thing. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I see why it originated, because it's bland. Chicken, boiled chicken and rice is bland food. But we've learned a lot more now. So once upon a time, if your dog had an upset stomach, your vet would tell you to feed chicken and rice. But the thing is, now we see for some dogs that doesn't work. Some dogs it does work, some dogs it doesn't work. It's not my go-to, but what was happening is often the chicken and rice would make things worse because they had a chicken intolerance.
Yeah.
So it would just mean they had more diarrhea probably. But that's where it came from. It's a bland food. And vets would tell you to feed that when they had an upset tummy. But we now have learned so much more, and there's so many more studies, and we talk so much more about dog nutrition now. And so what we tend to see is dogs, it'd be one of the first proteins we would eliminate from a diet if a dog was having upset guts, if they were vomiting, if they had diarrhea, if they have mucus in their stools, that sort of thing. Usually chicken will be one of the first things that we'd rule out. But what we know now is that chicken intolerance stems from leaky gut when they're puppies. So and that's where a lot of these intolerances stem from. It will be some form of leaky gut, which we've spoken about in other podcasts, will release minuscule tiny little fragments into the system where the immune system reacts, and then it manifests in these different ways. Or the digestive system is irritated. Rice can irritate the digestive system and then might give them mucousy poos, which is a little sign of colitis.
So if they did have, so it'd be an intolerance to something, rather than just going straight for the chicken and rice, what would be like a better alternative?
An intolerance is something, so you would do, so I think, are you thinking what would you do if they had an upset stomach, or what would you do if they had an intolerance?
So if they had
kind of two slightly different things.
So if they had an intolerance to something and you were like, the chicken is potentially making them worse, is there something else in substitute for that you could give them to sort of help fix the problem, basically?
Yeah, well, you just take it out of their diet.
Just remove it completely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's two different things there. So if they had an upset stomach, like my dog Piper, as I've said in the past, he likes to drink from dirty puddle drinker. And if he gets diarrhea or an upset stomach, that's not an intolerance. He's got an upset stomach, but I might not want to feed him his normal food for a couple of days. Just might want to go a bit easier and a bit gentler on the digestive system. So I might cook his food for a day or two, and my go-to would probably be steamed white fish and possibly a bit of sweet potato, and that's really nice for a couple of days while their digestive system just settles down. If it's an intolerance, it will probably be a bit of a kind of journey where people have tried different foods, but nothing's really working. And you can pick out, actually, there's chicken in everything you've been feeding.
I see.
And then people sometimes make it worse by feeding chicken and rice because they think they've got an upset stomach, and so they feed chicken and rice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So really it would be a process of elimination. If your dog is just never quite right, if they don't necessarily have an upset stomach, but some poos are runny, some poos are firm, some poos are a bit mucusy, but they're really happy and healthy and full of energy, but you just can't quite pinpoint why they keep getting these upset poos. It's probably something that they're sensitive to or a little bit of an intolerance to in their diet.
Yeah. So I suppose, would you say, like, focus on one thing, and if they're consistently healthy on that one thing, good to go,
Yeah,
and then try something else, and if they start getting the funny tummies,
then you back off
then
and
you
you're
back
back to
off
where you
and back
were.
to where you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a process of elimination, really.
Yeah.
You stick to one protein source, and you do that for a week or two. And if that's really good and poos are firm and everything is good, then you know they're okay with that protein. Then you'll slowly introduce another protein. And if that is good, then you stick with it. And then you've got another protein you can feed them. If you then add in a third protein, but the poos then start getting sloppy or they've got diarrhea or they're vomiting, then you know they've probably got an intolerance
Yeah.
to that particular
And then rule it
protein
out,
source. So
go
then you
back.
just steer clear from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's also, like we've said again in other podcasts, gut healing in between all of this as well. So
Gut health, gut health, gut health.
gut healing and to heal leaky gut is really important. And also feeding a good food and staying away from too much ultra process.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in a dog, obviously compared to like a human, can they get like hay fever, like allergies?
Yes, they can get
They
allergies.
can.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually really common. It's one of the major reasons that people visit the vets. So itchy skin, ear infections, all of these things is so common in dogs. And it can be for several reasons. So, yes, dogs can have grass allergies and they can have an immune response to pollen the same way we do. And that can cause a histamine response. They get itchy. But there's also quite a lot you can do again with gut health. I know I crap on about this, but it's so important. If you've got a dog that's on a really poor, ultra processed crap food, and their immune system is already struggling, so it's not going to be supported by all these wonderful nutrients and goodness in their food. It's already going to be struggling because it's on a very low nutritious diet,
So be
right?
working extra hard.
So it's already going to be quite taxed and quite low. And then the dog has probably got leaky gut because of everything we've talked about in gut health. And so your immune system is already low. And then you've got outside in environmental issues that are impacting their immune system as well. So then you get you can get itchy skin and you get more of a response, a more of a histamine response because the immune system is not at full whack.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So it really does all come down to, and the same for humans, you can't expect to eat ultra processed takeaway foods every day and expect your immune system to be
Fit as a fiddle.
100% thriving, protecting you, protecting your organs, protecting your body, when it hasn't got the nutrients to do so,
Yeah.
and the strength to do so. So yes, they can get allergies and what's the word I'm looking for? So allergies to environmental issues. Can't speak. Yes, they can have allergies to environmental substances.
You've been hanging around me too long.
Oh my god. So they can have, what I'm trying to say very inarticulately is they can have environmental allergies, yes,
Yes.
because that is an immune trigger. So that is an allergy. So an allergy is involves the immune system. And intolerance, like we were saying before, like something you've eaten, is that your digestive system can't really digest it very well, and you're getting all these other symptoms. So they are different.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is when you've got good gut health and you're feeding jam-packed full nutrients in their food, the immune system will be able to cope better with
Yeah.
environmental factors.
Yeah. Because obviously raw is like the best way forward to help them improve that. But obviously the people that, for example, can't stand feeding their dog raw and they're sort of stuck on their particular diet. I heard that, can you give dogs a paracetamol?
Not for allergies, no. Paracetamol is for pain.
Not paracetamol.
You mean Piriton.
Piriton.
Antihistamine.
It starts with a P. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, you can. Yeah. So it's whenever you have this immune response, you get this cycle. So you get an immune response which causes the skin to itch. The dog itches, releases more histamine, and then it wants to itch more. Do you see what I mean? So the more you itch, the more histamine you release, and then the more it's itchy.
Yeah.
So you need to calm down the immune system, and antihistamines are a great way to do that. So you calm down the histamine response, which calms down the itch.
Yeah.
Which breaks that cycle. So yes, you can give your dog Piriton, not the knockoff antihistamines that you can buy, because I think they've got something else in them. So it is Piriton.
Purely Piriton.
And you can talk to your vet first, though. I think it's worth a phone call to your vet and make sure that there's nothing else going on and that your vet is happy for you to give them Piriton.
Yeah.
But yes, it's if your dog has a bee sting or a wasp sting, for example, and you see any swelling, you can give them a Piriton straight away and then get them to the vet. Because it's really important that if they have a reaction to anything, a sting, or that, like we were saying about their peanut allergy, the swelling in their throat, that's what can kill them. So getting antihistamine in as soon as possible, and that's when people with allergies carry EpiPens.
Yes.
To get the antihistamine in as soon as possible.
My granddad had to carry a pen because he was allergic to bee stings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so you get
went
stung,
nowhere without it.
Yeah.
And
I've seen a dog swell up, and you'll see pictures on the internet of dogs swelling up when they've had bee stings and wasp stings. It can be really nasty. Yeah. So yeah, but definitely talk to your vet first about Piriton, and then there's also lots of other things which again we've talked about in previous podcasts. Apoquel, drugs that suppress the immune system, which stop the dog's itching. Obviously there are some dogs out there that need that because it's a miserable life living itchy, but there's lots and lots you can do dietary wise first. You should never really just feed a crap diet and then give drugs to suppress symptoms.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You need to do all the other things first. Get as much gut health going on as you can, feed a really good diet, get them strong, fit and healthy. And then if there's absolutely nothing else you can do, then you bring in the drugs.
Yeah, because I suppose, it just saves you pumping your dog with unnecessary chemicals, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
When it can just be solved by giving him a good diet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it can, and I have seen that a lot in the shop, and advising people when their dogs are itchy. There's so many different things we can try first. It's not always that they've got an allergy, and it's not always that they've got something serious going on. It can be that they're having an immune response to something you're feeding them, or if they're yeasty, for example, if you're feeding too much high sugar, then you're feeding the yeast, which will just make them itch more. So it's not always allergies and intolerances. There can be other factors as well. So
yeah,
you can always pop down and have a chat at the shop, or find us at sidandlola.co.uk. Drop us questions.
Yep, any questions you have, you can email us at sidandlolapodcast@outlook.com.
Brilliant.
And we'll answer them for you on here.
Great. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.